This is CBC Vancouver News.
A Vancouver Canuck refuses to wear the Pride jersey.
We live in a democracy in a free country, and if that's what he chooses to do, that's his call.
If everybody's wearing his Pride jersey, or they are, then he should too.
The controversy on Canucks Pride Night, plus the fight for equity.
Trans people, we're here and we're allowed to exist.
Breaking down the stigma on the Day for Trans Visibility, and the illegal dumping of slaughterhouse waste.
That's about all that the Ministry of Environment has achieved. They haven't slowed it down, they haven't stopped it, they've just moved it.
A Vancouver Island community demands answers about why it's still happening. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle Ghoussoub. Dan is away tonight. We begin with breaking news. After months of negotiations, the BC Nurses Union has reached a new tentative collective agreement tonight. The deal comes after all-night and all-day negotiations between the Nurses Bargaining Association and the Health Employers Association of BC. It includes record-setting compensation for BC nurses, a new commitment from the province to support mandatory nurse-to-patient ratios, and new incentives to help retain nurses. The agreement will affect over 51,000 nurses in BC. A Vancouver Island farmer and poultry company are in hot water over illegally dumped slaughter waste. Residents in the Cobble Hill area filed complaints 3 years ago when they first noticed repeat dumping on their properties. As John Hernandez reports, despite warnings and even fines from provincial officers, the farmer hasn't stopped.
So every week this drags out is another week's worth of slaughter waste dumped in our community.
It's a sight and smell residents in Vancouver Island's Cobble Hill say they have become all too familiar with. Dump truck after dump truck unloading chicken entrails onto a local farm.
3 years this has been going on and we see no changes. So the main pile was over here.
Andy Stewart was among the first to report it to the Ministry of Environment in January 2020. That prompted a trip from inspectors who quickly noticed the whole operation was illegal.
Farmers cannot bury animals on their land unless they're produced on the land. So they can't take, dead animals or slaughter waste from another site and bring it onto their land without being registered with the Ministry of Environment.
Inspectors also found waste piles were uncovered, attracting birds and wildlife. Waste was also running off into local waterways. The farmer, Gordon Truswell, was issued warnings and repeatedly told to stop over 2 years before being fined $22,000 last November. That's when he moved the operation to a second site just down the road. Residents were shocked.
That's about all that the Ministry of Environment has achieved. They haven't slowed it down, they haven't stopped it, they've just moved it.
This site was inspected in February and more fines have been recommended. The company who is paying Truswell to dispose of the waste, Island Farmhouse Poultry, was also inspected and told to stop, or risk up to $1 million in fines for dumping into the environment. Both sites are in an aquifer recharge area and an already vulnerable watershed.
With slaughter waste, you've got the risk of leachates getting into your water supply down into the ground or the streams, and really the cumulative effects on the fish and wildlife populations and our human, it's really starting to bite us.
Residents here want to see a stop work order. CBC News asked the ministry if it would issue one. It said it's working with the farmer towards a resolution.
And even with that, we're not confident that it won't reemerge in our community.
Truswell declined an interview but said he's appealing the fines and applying to run a legitimate waste facility. The poultry farm said it's working with the province and is considering new contractors. John Hernandez, CBC News, Cobble Hill.
The Vancouver Canucks are the latest NHL team mired in controversy after one player chose not to wear the jersey at tonight's Pride celebrations. The player at the center of this is Andrei Kuzmenko, a first-year NHLer from Russia. The Canucks head coach saying only the decision was made in consultation with his family. There are at least 5 other players across the league who have said they won't put on the jersey.
This is something new that the NHL teams and players are having to deal with this year and vocalizing. So I'm sure there will be, I hope there will be discussions and education that happens in the off season regarding this moving forward.
The issue is leading to speculation from fans on whether the decision is connected to Kuzmenko's roots in Russia. Russia has enacted several homophobic laws, though the player has not given any indication that was part of his decision.
Thanks for letting us know the type of person you are.
I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I support it because we don't know what's going on back at home.
If everybody's wearing his pride jersey, or they are, then he should too.
We live in a democracy in a free country, and if that's what he chooses to do, that's his call. I don't agree with it at all, but
The purpose of Pride Night is to let LGBTQ people know they are welcome in hockey, a sport that hasn't always been welcoming to that community. Today marks the International Day of Transgender Visibility. Yasmin Gandin brings us the journey of one trans teen here on the Lower Mainland.
You're not alone. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm bad with words.
One voice uplifting dozens of others here at this rally for the Transgender Day of Visibility. I had the chance to speak with Seven Perks, who organized this rally, and hear about its journey. At just 15 years old, Seven Perks already has a lot to reflect on. 3 years ago, Perks, who identifies using the pronouns it/its, came out as non-binary, a change that has increased its self-expression as well as its interest in makeup.
I find it's a good and fun way to express myself. It's like an art medium, except you're constantly showing it to everybody, right?
Seven says the journey hasn't always been easy.
At first, it wasn't that bad, but as I, transferred to high school, not easy at all. Lots of bullying, all that fun stuff. So it could have been better, honestly.
But it is lucky to have a supportive family through the challenges at school.
No one's journey is really the same, right? I was super lucky to have a super supportive family, right? And I found a really good group of friends. I know it sounds like really cheesy and all that, but things probably will get better. They do. It just takes a while.
Seven's mom says it was important to educate herself about its identity.
Wasn't that familiar with non-binary myself, so I did a lot of research, and there's lots of resources available, and really took the cues from Seven on how to proceed.
Perks says the gender clinic at BC Children's Hospital has been helpful in guiding the journey.
The one thing that I felt is that we were the only ones going through this. I think that's sort of how you feel, but the reality is you're not. A lot of people who are going through this, and it's about talking about it and being open that you are able to find your community.
Seven moves schools because of the bullying, allowing it to find a supportive group of friends who are a big part of helping out with the rally. Seven says it hopes the rally helps others find their safe space.
Trans people, we're here, and we're allowed to exist.
Although it was a surprise to Seven's family when it came out, it has not changed their relationship.
They're my children. I love them, so there's no real question about that. And I think that's where everyone needs to come to from that place. I understand that it is a journey for the grown-ups in the room, like the grown-ups to go through as well. But one of my biggest, pieces of advice is that it's not your journey. You're there to support.
So I'm standing here with Jade Weeks, who is the coordinator, the talent coordinator at the Vancouver Pride Society. Jade, tell me, what does it feel to be here today?
It's really fantastic seeing the representation that comes out from all ages. You have the youth that are coming. One of my favorite quotes today I got was, oh my goodness, I can't believe like my dad would never let me be here. And I love that because people are here, people are showing up, no matter what. The support, even though it's coming down in rain, it's just so warming to my heart.
As you can see, a large turnout here of a rally that was started by 15-year-old 7 Perks, and a lot of people out here showing their support on this Transgender Day of Visibility. Yasmin Gandham, CBC News, Vancouver.
Homicide investigators are sharing images of 2 men suspected in the stabbing death of a West Vancouver doctor. The attack happened last week at a condo building on Argyle Avenue. Urologist Francis Este was found with stab wounds in an underground parking lot. He died on the scene. Homicide investigators say the incident may be related to Este's activities in the past several months.
I can say that the people that know Dr. Este and that know of these previous events will certainly know what I'm referring to. Again, we ask for anyone who knows Dr. Este, who could speak to these previous events, to please contact IHID directly.
Documents filed in BC Supreme Court show Este was involved in legal proceedings involving family members and property disputes. Anyone with information about the suspects you see here is asked to contact IHID. Starting tomorrow, many forms of prescription birth control will be free in our province. BC is the first jurisdiction in Canada to make prescription birth control free to residents. The initial announcement in February received some pushback for not including certain types of contraception. Premier David Eby said today coverage could be expanded.
You take it to the pharmacy and you get your prescription, and that's it. You don't pay. And if there are areas that need to be covered, additions, we'll always be looking at that as technology improves.
The Premier says people who don't have a family doctor, and that's about 1 in 5 people living in BC, will be able to get a prescription from sexual health clinics across the province, and pharmacists will also be able to prescribe certain types of birth control. The city of Surrey could be one step closer to opening its doors to cannabis shops. Mayor Brenda Locke says she's willing to consider allowing the stores in her city, but as Zara Premji reports, the road to seeing stores opening is far from a done deal.
We compare ourselves to Vancouver, and as mentioned, there's 74 stores right now in Vancouver. Surrey has 0. There's 503 retail stores throughout BC, and Surrey has 0. So why are we behind in, as a community?
Some people living in Surrey feel the city needs to start playing catch up before it's too late. Industry stakeholders gathered this afternoon at a Board of Trade event to discuss cannabis stores.
Do you want to open a shop?
If I was given the opportunity, yes, I would.
But that's not an option in Surrey, at least for now.
As much as I am not a fan of marijuana use, I would like to see us providing that service to our citizens in the city.
And unlike mayors of years past, this mayor isn't saying no. Brenda Locke says her council will consider allowing cannabis stores in Surrey, and she's asked staff to work on a report for council's consideration.
We don't want you going to Delta, we don't want you going to Langley or New West. We want to find a way to make it available here. We just have to make sure we do it right.
When the federal government legalized the sale of recreational cannabis in 2018, Surrey did not jump on board.
And understand that was the mandate of the government, is to keep it away from our children. Are we doing that by not allowing cannabis in Surrey? I don't know.
The business community says it hurts the city's rapidly growing economy.
It's been confusing and disappointing, and it's also a source of revenue for the city of Surrey in the face of significant rising costs.
The Surrey Board of Trade is calling on the city to adapt its policy fast.
I think it's possible to do it before the summer.
That's ambitious. I'm not going to say we can't make it, but it is ambitious. I would like to see something moving forward this year, before the end of the year.
A little bit of hope for those waiting to be part of the change.
City of Surrey is definitely lacking in the cannabis industry, and I'm glad that the dialogue has been brought up by this council.
There's no timeline yet on when the staff report will land before City Council. Zara Premji, CBC News, Surrey.
And once you see it, you can never unsee it.
The family of a man who died in a shocking daytime stabbing in downtown Vancouver is asking for the disturbing video to be taken down from the internet. That story is next. Thanks for joining our commercial-free live stream. Water safety is always a top concern for parents. A new program in New Brunswick is aiming to build confidence in children with autism and prevent drownings by offering personalized lessons. Take a look.
Often children and people with autism are highly attracted to water. It's a strength that a child with autism has. It creates a highly preferred environment, and we can teach to that. Some of these children have not been able to participate in an activity, but they love to swim. And the swimming lessons, the way they were structured, were not working. So we made our own program. And coming from a background of swimming and early childhood education, I saw a need for a specific instructional program for children who have autism. Typically, children with autism learn in a visual way. They have concrete, literal thinking. And I knew we could design a program that would teach them the way that they learn. And also there's some challenging sensory aspects to the pool environments that we have here in Miramichi. There's a lot of light, there's light reflecting off of the waves, there's a loud noise in there. When people talk, it's very echoey. So we designed a program that would lessen those sensory impacts. We keep the toys to a minimum, only a few fun ones, instead of having a lot of different colors around the pool environment. We also teach one-on-one. So every child has their own instructor, and that is a proven effective teaching method. And the instructors come to this program with nationally certified lifeguards in their background, as well as autism training.
It's really cool because every kid is so different. Like you learn so much about every different kid, and the bonds you make with them are so incredibly awesome, and it's really deep. Like, you're on a deeper connection because you're one-on-one. You have to approach things differently. Like, you have to be very flexible. So we teach basic safety rules, like always swim with another person. I always have to wait for permission before I enter the water. And we know that children with autism in general, they need rules to live by, and they are very concrete thinkers. So maybe we can help prevent accidental drownings of a child who wanders to the water and says, oh, I can't go in without another person. Maybe we can stop them from entering the river or the water. So we have families driving an hour one way to come for half an hour in the pool, so that their child can be taught in the way that they learn.
The fatal attack on a 37-year-old father outside a Starbucks has sent shockwaves of grief and heartache for his family and friends. A makeshift memorial for Paul Schmidts' shocking daytime stabbing in downtown Vancouver on Sunday has been growing. He died in front of a number of bystanders. At least one took video of the gruesome attack that has since spread across social media. We're not going to show any of that video, but Lindsay Duncombe did speak to Paul Schmidts' grieving family, who are now demanding it be taken down. She also spoke to the young man who shot it to ask him why he did it. And a caution, this story is disturbing.
He was a great guy. He was a total family man. He loved his daughter. He lived for his daughter.
It's unimaginable that this happened to him.
37-year-old Paul Schmidt was stabbed and killed outside of Vancouver Starbucks Sunday morning.
His family says he asked his attacker to stop vaping near his 3-year-old daughter. The toddler and Schmidt's fiance watched him die.
People chose to videotape it and stand by and watch. That's the most difficult thing.
And that surprised you?
Very much.
Schmidt's parents, Kathy and Stan, say their grief is compounded exponentially because so many people have watched and shared their son's final brutal moments.
We're really angry, disappointed in people that would post it. And it gets reposted. And the avenues that it gets posted on, Twitter or whatever, that it's allowed to go on there. Like it's a murder scene.
CBC is not showing the video of Schmidt's final moments. It's graphic and disturbing. His mom clicked on it by accident.
And once you see it, you can never unsee it. And it just rolls over in my mind over and over and over, so I can't even grieve my son because I have that image.
Alex Bodger took that video. He describes himself as an influencer and says he's obsessed with becoming famous on social media.
I find street fights pretty cool, so I ran up to take a video. Not really understanding the full grasp of what was happening, I continued to videotape.
He says he didn't initially post it online, rather shared it with the police and other bystanders. But when he saw it was getting many views, he retweeted it.
It really didn't register until the next morning. And so in the moment, it was like, holy crap, I just witnessed this. I didn't fully understand what I just witnessed. And the next morning, I woke up, the screams are playing through my head.
Bodger has been attacked online for taking and sharing the video, and he doesn't think people should be posting it anymore.
It is not doing anybody good anymore. At first it was, it blew up. Everybody knows what's going on now.
Schmidt's family members have been calling social media companies to remove the video.
For it still to be out there, that's the problem. We've asked Twitter to take it down. We've got family members that are working day and night, just reporting and deleting and reporting and deleting. That's all they're doing to try and get this stopped.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Please take the video down. Please don't watch it. It's horrific. It's brutal. It's hurtful. Just stop posting it. Stop looking at it. Let us be in peace.
Yeah.
Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
This was BC Place earlier this evening, lit up to recognize International Transgender Day of Visibility. Kuljit will have your full forecast next.
It's a cheap method for making a political point, indeed any point. No need to hire an expensive advertising agency. A can of paint, a spray bomb, even a piece of chalk will do.
Goodness me, could this be industry of this age?
Doing it under bridges is easy. All of that concrete provides excellent billboard space. The theme of much of the graffiti is the same. A lot of people are oppressed, and it seems that we're on the verge of a police state. A spray bomb is infinitely better than the explosive kind. The message and the penmanship may leave something to be desired, but at least no one gets hurt. This particular sign here is one of my favorites. It's short and to the point and has the subtlety of a sledgehammer. But it's also the kind of sign that the Nazis themselves may have used against their political enemies during the 30s. But for selling a strong political line, you can't beat Zippy. He or she is running a fairly effective campaign, graffiti-wise, and Zippy wants to become no less than Prime Minister, not just another Zippy who. The Graffiti Brotherhood also favors obscure philosophical messages. They're plastered everywhere, from the seawall at Kitsilano Pool to the board fence surrounding the Vancouver Courthouse Art House. And it's not just prose that's hitting the walls these days. Art is also making a strong appearance, and dictionaries define this too as graffiti. There's a strong anti-development bias among the graffitiites who, one presumes, would like to turn the entire downtown core into one big Stanley Park. But the new stadium is here to stay, and so are a lot of other projects. And so it goes, people wanting to make the definitive statement, or sound some dire warning, or simply thumb their noses at society.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Our Kuljit Kayla joins us now for a look at the forecast. Kuljit, what is the weekend ahead looking like for us?
We have a strong frontal system making its way along the coast of BC and to southeastern parts of the province as well. We've had a couple of snowfall warnings issued, one for the Coquihalla Highway, one for the Kootenay Pass. Into Saturday night, we could see up to 25 centimeters of snow through there. But by the end of the weekend, things should clear up for most of the province, especially north of Prince George. Some cold conditions for the lower mainland as well. Today's high, 8 degrees, well below the average for this time of year. For the overnight lows, 3 degrees, also just a little bit below average. Overnight wet flurries could be happening at higher elevation, Squamish, possibly the North Shore, Whistler as well. And the wind continues as well along the water, 20 to 50 kilometer-an-hour winds overnight and into tomorrow. But then we're going to see shower activity carry on into the weekend, on and off for Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures hovering around 6 to 8 degrees. Overnight lows really cold at 1 degree. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we will start to see that sunshine come back, some of that spring-like weather come back. We have a 40% chance of rain for Monday, but mostly clear conditions for Tuesday and Wednesday before we end off the week with cloudy conditions and bumping back up to double-digit temperatures. So it will be cold still, but it will get warmer again, and we will get back to that spring-like weather. Michelle?
Thanks so much, Kuljit. Well, exciting news for fans of the show The Last of Us. HBO has confirmed the hit series is moving filming from Calgary to Vancouver for its second season.
We are incredibly excited to welcome The Last of Us to Hollywood North as they bring production of their second season to Vancouver.
The show is based on the hit video game of the same name. The show is set in a post-apocalyptic world 20 years after modern civilization has been destroyed, following characters trying to survive while being pursued by mutated humans infected by a parasitic fungus. It's a great show, though a little bit scary. All right, thank you so much for joining us tonight. For news anytime, visit cbc.ca/BC. Your next local newscast is on Radio 1 tomorrow morning at 6:30. Good night and good weekend.